So this is the candy factory. Now, I've come from the lab of II from the UK to work here. And so as far as I understand, the history of the space is that, and I'm not from the candy factory, so this might be a little bit wrong, but I'll try, is that there was another space called the candy factory, which I think used to be a candy factory, and that's how they got the name. And that was a squat, and they were evicted from that. And these were, people working in Copenhagen to make like a social centre. And so they then looked for somewhere else, and they looked at this place, and I think maybe some other places. And they wanted to squat it, but they had to ask because when they're evicting the other place, they asked the council, you need to give us somewhere else to do this stuff. And I presume that the council were initially hesitant, but they gave them this place, and they have a contract agreed with the owner of this building. And I don't know the details of the contract, but the general idea is that they will look after the space, they will keep it clean and dry, and keep the rooms functioning, which is good for the owner that he doesn't have crack addicts or something in the building, or people who don't respect it, and they have some kind of agreement like that with some notice. He can ask them to leave and they will leave, and that's written into like their agreement with him. So it makes it a legal space. So it's kind of a rent-free occupation.
So it's not a squat.
So it's not a squat. Like there is a legal agreement for them to be here, which is interesting. So you see more and more spaces like in England as well, where people don't just squat because they're so short-term. They start, reaching kind of agreements to be more effective in the long run. Like it's not a pure space, but it lasts longer and you can do more with it, so it's a better space. So that's kind of the history of the space. And this one they call it the Candy Factory as well, because it's the same collective, but I don't think it's a candy factory. And yeah, so and then we're here, and I think it's only been set up like very shortly before we arrived. Like when we heard we had the space to use, it was still being finished as a centre, and things were being put in. So even in the first week that people were here, they were still like getting it functioning and making the space work. So that's the story. And now we're here doing all this stuff.
Where does all the bike parts come from?
They're all parts that have been thrown away. Bikes that are obviously broken, that are missing a wheel, or the frame is bent, or like something. They've got no handlebars or seat. And so we've been taking scrap, and people have been donating their bikes. There's a guy who came in this morning with a brand new bike and was like, this is my bike, I can't join you on the 16th because I have to look after my kids, but please use my bike. So that's how that's been working.
So what makes you come here all the way from England to fix bikes?
What makes me come all the way here from England to fix broken old bikes? I've been working with the Laboratory of Insurrection Imagination for a few years, doing different projects. We did a project at the King's North Climate Camp in the UK, where lots of people on boats had it was called the Rebel or Aftergatter. So we shut down a power station using about 200 people, all on rafts with pirate hats and costumes, and people built a coracle out of twigs and tarpaulin and sailed in that, and people in different boats kind of dodging police boats, and there was a helicopter in order to shut down this coal-fired power station. So that was, and this is kind of a little bit like that, but with bikes instead. So the same kind of tactics, but on land. What are the benefits of riding a bike? But you mean tomorrow? Or just generally? Apart from it's fun and it's totally, it works for us. It's a symbol of there's no one who doesn't think of bikes as being ecologically friendly, and they don't create waste. They're the most efficient, brilliant piece of engineering humans have come up with in lots of ways. They're simple and perfect for what they do. So and it works really well for us as a symbol. You see lots of people on bikes, you kind of know what their ideas are and what they're about almost instantly. It speaks for itself. But it also lets us move quickly, get things done, and be more kind of creative. So some of the bikes are going to have all different kinds of modifications to make them be more than just a bike, to do other things as well, apart from the things we understand as a bike's standard functions.
What do you hope to get out of the 16?
Conceptually, this project is an attempt to kind of reinvent creative politics again, that process of since the 60s, where people try, instead of having just a march or using banners, those creative forms, people try different things. You have critical mass, you have your Basta who, with their white suits and their attempt to kind of devolve the division between violence and non-violence. You have reclaim the streets, to have a party instead of a march from A to B, like these different experiments with how to do civil disobedience and to use different creative forms in order to be more effective. And so this is like a conscious attempt, like all of the lab's projects are, to find a new form of civil disobedience. It's a little bit like a critical mass, it's a little bit like Yabasta maybe, it's a little bit like, I don't know, some other things. And to, you know, to engineer new forms of resistance, to build new ways of doing things. And that if, you know, if they're successful, then people, you know, will be able to use them in new situations and improve them again for, you know, new circumstances. So the idea is to make the action on the 16th, the Reclaim Power action, more effective by using something Copenhagen already has, which is lots of bikes. And I mean, the aim of the action overall, again, is to set up this People's Summit in opposition to, you know, the main summit that's happening, that, you know, lots of leaders have already walked out of now. And so in terms of hopes, there's this, you know, historic, what could make that a historic moment and could make our action have real political impact, is this combination of delegates inside from like the global political south, leaving the negotiations saying, look, you're screwing us over, fuck you, and then, you know, joining us who are outside, and that alliance, like, that's what will be really powerful. And if we're managing to get in and they're managing to get out, then, you know, then we're winning.
Maybe it's going to happen. I'd rather, yeah, but I don't like being recorded. I'd rather they do this than them all come storming in, and they can't because of like kind of contract. This place is, they've got some people, it's not a bloc, so they can't move without a warrant.
Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my